says, what's the best bang for buck to lose visceral fat?
So here at Unrivaled, we have 7 unrivaled pillars to health, vitality, and longevity. They're DNA, hormones, gut health, nutrition, movement, mindset, and sleep. All of these pillars work independently, but they also work interdependently as well. So you might want to grab a pen and write this down, because I'm going to quickly take you through the base of all of these pillars, because within each pillar, there is a level system, a hierarchy system. We call it the minimum effective dose. You might call it the biggest bang for buck. Here's the DNA pillar, and there's 5 levels, okay? The biggest one, or level number 1, that's going to give you the best bang for buck is your intolerances and avoiding those. So what are some foods that your body just doesn't really agree with that does DNA damage? Okay, making sure
gluten, dairy,
and other food intolerances that you want to be sticking away from. And before we go forward, a lot of these things, the best bang for buck that you're going to get is actually by removing things, not actually adding things in. So just keep that in mind as we go through that. So DNA is your intolerances. Find out your genetic intolerances and do not consume them. Remove them. Next is hormones. The biggest bang for buck, the minimum effective dose for the hormones, or number 1 hormone that you want to gain more control over, is cortisol. Cortisol is the godmother of all hormones, right? It overrides other hormonal responses inside the body because it's our survival hormone. If you have high cortisol, right, you're going to have potentially the adrenal-based PCOS. You're going to have potentially weight loss issues, like you're going to struggle to lose weight. It's going to affect your thyroid. It's definitely going to affect your sleep, which we're going to be talking about in just a moment. It's going to affect your insulin levels as well. I know insulin's a separate hormone, but when we're stressed, we don't digest and absorb the food correctly. And usually when we're stressed, what do we do? We go for comfort foods, which spike insulin, which adds weight to our waistline. So cortisol is the base level of our hormone pillar. Then we have gut health, and the base of gut health is remove. All right, there's 5 steps. The first one is remove. Before we replace and add anything else in, we want to remove the biggest things that are causing our gut the most amount of damage. Usually gluten, dairy, soy, genetically modified products, antibiotics, right? Prescription medication, even birth control pill, alcohol, coffee to an effect. Also creates leaky gut. Nutrition. The best bang for buck for nutrition is actually not food. It's water, okay? Because our cells need water for us to function properly. And usually we're more dehydrated than we are hungry, and we can only survive less without water than we can with food. So water is going to be your best bang for buck there, and making sure you're hitting your daily amount, which is 0.035 times your body weight equals liters of water. Movement. So the best bang for buck with movement is just moving your body, not carving out any additional extra time to go to the gym and do high intensity workouts. Yes, high intensity is inside the level system, but it's not number 1. Right? If you don't move your body, you lose your body. And if we want health, vitality, longevity, you've got to be in it for the long term. So just incidental movement throughout the day and achieving or striving for 10,000 steps each day is enough to move your body to get the right hormonal response and, of course, the right health response internally and externally as well. Then we have mindset. Mindset is everything, but more importantly, the base of the mindset is your identity. Who do you think you are? Because who you think you are is what you're going to do. And everyone is looking for all of these external reasons of why they're not at their goal or how to achieve their goal. If you want to achieve your goal, you've got to be the person who has actually already achieved it. So identity is the biggest bang for buck there. Do you have a growth mindset, or do you have a fixed mindset? Do you have a growth mindset of going, this is challenging, but I can improve every single day if I turn up every single day? Or do you have a fixed mindset of, you know what? Obesity just runs in my family history, and the rest of my family are fat, and I'm fat, and now I
identify as a fat person.
Now, no matter what I do, I'm not going to be able to lose weight, right? My family's poor, my mum's poor, my dad's poor, my brother's poor, my sister's poor, which means I'm poor. That's a fixed mindset. That's your identity. So do you have a growth or fixed mindset? And then last one is sleep. And sleep is an incredible pillar because it actually reverts back to almost all of these pillars, and it goes back to cortisol. If cortisol's elevated, you're ready to run away. You're ready to fight a fight. Okay, you're ready to survive. Your body isn't in a rest and digest. Okay, when cortisol is elevated, you're up here. You're in the sympathetic nervous system, right? For you to fall asleep, you actually need to go into your parasympathetic nervous system, into your rest and digest. And so if your cortisol is elevated, your body's going to be really tired, but your mind is going to be wired. Before dinner, you're really tired and you're like, oh, I just want to get through dinner because I'm going to go straight to bed. You get through dinner, you do your nightly thing, you're like, oh my God, I'm so tired. You get into bed and you're like, you're wide awake. Right? That's a sign that cortisol isn't working in your favor. Also, cortisol might be waking you up at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning as well, which also disrupts sleep. So how to fix or how to regulate and reduce your visceral fat, which is our number one kind of health metric, is
the minimum effective dose of each of those 7.
It's not just one thing. It's all of these things. It's 1% of everything. It's how you turn up every single day in your sleep, in your mindset. You know, when you wake up, what are the words that you're telling yourself? When you're bored, do you go for food or do you go for water? Do you take the stairs or do you take the lift? Do you park 500 meters away from the train station or your work and walk an extra 500 steps there and an extra 500 steps back and get in an additional 1,000 steps for the day by doing absolutely nothing more than just parking further away from the supermarket or your work or your destination? It's little things like that that each day snowballs into the next, snowballs into the week, into the month, into the year. 20 years later, you've extended your life by 5 to 6 years.